let's go to our second game. And sadly for you Leeds fans, a second consecutive 4-1 defeat. It was Crystal Palace 4, Leeds United 1. And earlier in the week, we had the defeat against Leicester. And the narrative and the thought was Leeds got done on the transition by the brilliant Vardy, helped out by Harvey Barnes in no small part, set up at the back and defended well and deeply and tightly and got the victory. And there was a slight worry going into this game, especially with Roy Hodgson in the other dugout, that something similar might happen. The result is similar. Well, it's the same. Go figure, Ben. The result is the same. We get there slightly differently, and we can pull some mitigating factors on a couple of the goals. They came in certainly a different manner than how Leicester did it. And, of course, we need to talk about the very tight offside decision. Leeds fans, let me know on that shape. Look, let's not get into big debates about... You would be amazed how many comments I'll get discussing and arguing about how we describe how 10 footballers line up in terms of numbers. SofaScore have said 3-3-3-1. If you're comfortable with that as a description, fine. If not, don't get too cross about it. Just let me know what you think the Leeds shape was. What we do know, though, is, and the key thing here is the personnel coming in. Obviously, Cooper is there with Koch. Struijk is in. So Alioski and Dallas both playing is the key thing there, because they would likely both be in for the left-back position. I looked at the heat maps and it looks like that is actually the case. They were both very wide, Dallas and Alioski, and Ayling wasn't. So, look, use what little run of numbers you're comfortable with. But 3-3-3-1, fine. We'll go with that with Costa. Click a little bit further forward. That's key as well in the absence of Rodrigo. Bamford up top. Bamford still in fine form, isn't he? Grata, Klein, Koyate, Dan, Van Aanholt across the in goal and across the back there. Eze starts, one of our championship favourites last season. MacArthur, Riedewald, Townsend with Ayew and the danger man Zaha up top. Here's the opening goal. And I'm going to be in two things can be true mode here. In it goes. There is Scott Dan up for the header. And just have a look at Illan Meslier's position there. He looks okay. He looks on his toes. And I say two things can be true because just to mitigate the inevitable comments I'll get saying, Ben, you're being harsh on Meslier. He's had a great season. Yeah, he has. And I'm not being harsh on him, by the way. Two things can be true in that it is a very, very good header. But Meslier has obviously completely lost his bearings there because he's actually behind the line. So the ball is going to strike the bar and bounce down. And from his position there, okay, he still might not save it, but he seems to have leapt behind the goal line, which, again, I'll say two things can be true. It's a very good header by Dan, and Meslier does seem to have lost his bearings to move behind the goal line there. That said, and we're talking about how Leeds were punished in the Leicester game as opposed to how Leeds were punished in the Palace game. It's a set play and a really, really good header. There's not that much gone wrong there other than probably Meslier slightly losing his bearings. Maybe he thinks if he moves back, he's got a better chance of saving a really difficult header. I don't know. I'm not being harsh on him. I'm just trying to call it how it is. 1-0 Palace. Oh, God. And here we go on a VAR offside. So, look, we've all seen this, and I have to talk about it. So, there is Matt Click playing the ball through to Pat Bamford, who is pointing to Click to say, here's where I'm going to make this run. What does need to be said, it's a great pass by Click and a great finish by Bamford, which does show those two players are in excellent form, and that's looking good for Leeds going through the season. They are looking Premier League level, those two, aren't they? Bamford holds out his arm, and we get the lines drawn on there. And we know from the wording of this law and how VAR is going to be implemented that, and I'll do it on my lovely shirt here, that we're looking at this area here, the armpit, that this can't be offside, all of this, because you can't score a goal with it. This can, because you could score with your torso or your shoulder, I guess. So, what we now have is a black and white interpretation of what really is a black and white law when it was first written to stop people goal hanging. And it's been taken to the ultimate degree, where we're now judging these black and white things on actual millimetres. So, the first thing that we can all agree on is this is a very, very tight decision that has gone for Crystal Palace and against Leeds. I don't think that's disputable, is it? For anyone that wants to comment with the FA have an agenda against Leeds, come on, don't be silly. That's not up for discussion here. I think most Premier League teams have been shafted by an incredibly tight VAR decision here since it's been going this past couple of years. A couple of things we can debate now are, is the rule fit for purpose given VAR? What I would say is, if the wording of the rule is as such and the technology is such, then this is offside. It's 1 millimetre, it's his armpit, the machine has drawn the lines. And look, another thing I need to say is, us looking at that picture and arguing that we can see clearer than the lines, or the line's bent, it doesn't come to the right place. We got to stop with that. That's nonsense. It's a machine, okay? The machine is the machine, and we're judging by our eyes. So I don't agree with that. Where I feel sorry for, and this is not a Leeds issue or a this goal issue, this is a VAR issue and a Premier League issue. Where I feel sorry for Matt Click, Pat Bamford and the Leeds fans is, this doesn't feel like the spirit of the offside rule, does it? It's a good pass. It looks like a good run, doesn't it? Look, for God's sake, he's behind both of the centre-backs when the ball's played in terms of his run. He's obviously leaning forward because he's run. He's pointing. If he doesn't point, is his shoulder a little bit further back and he's onside? He's basically offside for pointing, which is silly. Let's be honest, that's silly when we get into the black and whites of it. So, look, I don't think it's helpful to have a debate hours long about VAR. My opinion on this is, if we take the wording and the technology we have, that's offside. It's a bit sad and a bit soul-destroying that is offside, because, yes, offside is black and white and it is 1 millimetre. And VAR was not brought in for this. I'm an Ipswich fan. Go and watch the Portsmouth winning goal where the guy's like on the goal line. We don't need any lines on the pitch for that. We just needed the referee to go and check. That was what VAR was, I think, brought in for. Clear and obvious, wasn't it? We're not going clear and obvious. We're going black and white. We're going 1 millimetre. And yes, those people who want to debate, where do we take the freeze from? Do we take it when the guy's foot makes contact with the ball, or when the ball has left his foot by 1 millimetre? I accept all of those arguments. It's when we're going so black and white, the evidence has to be so conclusive. What would probably be a helpful debate is there somewhere where we can get to inconclusive? They have dead heats in horse racing, don't they? Where you can't call it. Can we have a dead heat? Can that not be a dead heat? And wasn't it 10 years ago the advantage goes to the attacking player? Can we not have a dead heat? Look, we can't tell. If it's a millimetre, is it not a dead heat like the horse races where they photo finish it and they pay out to both sides? Come on, not that we can pay out to both sides here, but we've already said a few years back, give the advantage to the attacking player. Look, I've said we don't want to ramble about VAR. My view on it is, under the rule, it's offside. It's a bit soul-destroying with the technology. Let's not question the technology. Let's not question any possible agenda against any team. There isn't. But let's say this doesn't feel like the spirit of the rule. And is there a dead heat? Is there inconclusive? Is there not obviously offside? He's not obviously offside. Look, it went against Leeds. It's a tight decision that went against Leeds. I know we'll get comments saying that now changes the narrative of the game. Yeah, it probably does. It probably does, let's just say. But it's a tight thing that that went against a team in this game. Look, another tight thing. Scott Dan's header, if it's another millimetre, might hit the bar and come back out again. Lots of tight things go. I think the focus of the debate needs to be on the kind of dead heat type thing that I'm talking about, where we can let that one go. And it looks like a good goal, doesn't it? So there you go. Enough on that. Let's not get too crazy in the comments. It is what it is, and we ain't going to change it now, but it's a bit soul-destroying when that's offside, isn't it? Crikey. Anyway, Leeds obviously then concede a worldly free kick about 2 minutes later, don't they? So salt into the wounds there when you've had a very tight decision go against you. And here comes Eze. And look, this is not Leeds being caught on the transition by Brendan Rodgers and Jamie Vardy. This can happen against anyone. This is a brilliant free kick, smacked right up into the top corner. You feel a bit sorry for Meslier in this game, don't you? Because we'll wait until we see the third goal. But what I'm saying is, if I'm a Leeds fan and I look at the Leicester game and I look at this game, I can look a little bit at the strategy being askew in the Leicester game, and that might be that Leicester's strategy with their players won over on the day against Leeds. In this one, a header from a corner, barring in, a minuscule offside decision that's kind of soul-destroying, a free kick slammed into the top corner for 2-0. Look, I'm not being a Leeds apologist here, which I know I get accused of sometimes, but this is not going to happen every game. It looks like a few things that were tight all kind of just conspired against Leeds in this first half. And if you think that one's bad, well, we'll do the Bamford goal first, but wait for the Costa deflection. But there you go. Again, like I said, if you're looking for positives from Leeds, Matt Click and Pat Bamford are currently comfortably Premier League quality. We were wondering which Leeds players would be okay. I have to say, I wondered about these two. I wondered. I thought, look, Click's great in the Championship. Bamford, we even had question marks over. So that's really positive, isn't it? Click and Bamford are playing brilliantly. And here's the flick on from Click. And Bamford just is on fire. And for both, I mean, you can argue till the cows come home whether he should have had 2 goals or 1 goal in this game. He has 1 goal. He's playing brilliantly. And a flick on. And if I'm a defender playing against Bamford at the moment and looking at that, and it's just sprint, control, left foot, half volley, smash it in the corner, he's on fire. And if you're a Leeds fan, you've got to be so happy with that. And, if you're a person who has empathy, given the amount of stick this guy took last season, you've got to kind of be happy for the guy, haven't you? Bamford makes it 2-1 with another superb finish. And we go back to the mitigating factors for Leeds. How many times does this result in a goal? I mean, Jesus, it's a cutback. Costa is trying to honestly make a block. I don't think Costa does a lot wrong. I don't think Meslier does a lot wrong. This is a freak goal. How on earth, from that cutback, does this end up going there? I mean, it's ridiculous. So, again, I don't want to come over as a Leeds apologist, but let's just talk about the facts in this first half that ends 3-1 to Palace. Header that is slammed in, barring in from a set play from a corner. Minuscule offside goes against Leeds. A brilliant free kick by Eze flies in the top corner. Doesn't matter if you're Bayern Munich or Brazil 1970. It's going in the goal, isn't it, for God's sakes? Great goal by Bamford, great finish. And then a really freakish own goal. So it's going to end 4-1, but this is very different than Leicester and... We'll talk about it at the end. This, I do have to say, though, is poor. Leeds get done on the transition, which we spoke about in the Leicester game. And this is Palace's best player, Zaha, in loads and loads of space. And what Leeds fans will be disappointed is the thing we've spoken about with Bielsa over the past 2 years, intensity, pressing. Bielsa will be furious with the lack of intensity on this defensive phase. I know it's in transition, but Zaha carries the ball. He goes down the left. He cuts inside. Look, if it's Zaha on the sprint, taking someone on, playing a brilliant cross, fine, you hold your hands up. But look at Ayew. He's completely free. There's 4 Leeds players in that picture, and Ayew is just totally open in the middle of the goal. And touch and finish. And in it goes. Woof. There you go. So 4-1. Did I actually put the numbers up in this one? There we go. We've actually got the numbers this time. Apologies to Villa fans. Leeds fans are going to get the numbers and Villa fans aren't. But look, there it is. 65% on the possession, 35. It's Hodgson VBL, so we knew that was going to happen. Fine, whatever. 6 shots to 3 on target. Okay, that's double in Palace's favour. 6 corners to 3 in Leeds' favour. Hodgson doesn't mind conceding territory. 3 big chances to 1 and the 1 big chance missed. That's troublesome for Leeds. You'll see there, obviously, look, nearly 600 passes up. Palace make 30 clearances, 13 interceptions and 15 tackles in the game as well. So, look, it's 2 4-1 defeats in a week. I would be more concerned about the Leicester defeat than I would be about the Palace defeat. And I know that will confuse some people watching, because some would say, look, Leicester are top of the league and they're really good and Palace won't finish as high as Leicester. I just feel that there's enough. And look, I'm not a Leeds fan. I'm an Ipswich fan. And so I cannot be accused of being biased or deluded in favour of a team. There are enough mitigating factors in this game for you to argue, look, that won't happen every week. Whereas in the Leicester game, you're coming away looking at it saying, okay, a few better players and the strategy got them, didn't it? It's not any bad luck, really. You know, Bamford misses a chance and then Vardy's just brilliant. Whereas in this game, header barring in, goal disallowed minuscule, free kick flies in the top corner. What are you going to do? Bamford scores, deflected goal, complete freak, wasn't it, for 3-1. And Leeds fans will be arguing, look, the last goal's poor. No one could argue that one. That is poor. But Leeds fans will argue without fair accusations of them being deluded. They'll argue if the minuscule offside decision goes their way, and one of those 3 goals, the header that flies barring in, the freak goal and the brilliant free kick, one of those goals is just slightly off, then the game's tighter, isn't it? It's a 1-goal game rather than a 3-goal game. I'm not saying anything further than that, but I'm saying a few things went for Palace and against Leeds in this game that if they hadn't, it would have been tighter. That's I'll leave it at that one. In terms of where Leeds stand now, though, that's 1 win in 5. Yes, it was a brilliant win against Aston Villa. It's also 3 defeats in 4 and 8 goals in the last 2 games. So I wouldn't be alarmed. Just kudos to Palace. Sorry, we do this on the Dearly Departed shows. I had a Leicester fan who just couldn't understand what we were doing here and why I wasn't, recording a 30-minute eulogy about how brilliant Brendan Rodgers was. We are obviously going to focus on our Dearly Departed team. So we'll give a quick tip of the hat to Palace, who, their finishing was good and they won this one 4-1 and they're up in 8th. But we're focused here on our Dearly Departed and Leeds. So they're in 15th, but looking at the teams below them, you would sensibly argue that Leeds over this first period have been in a slightly different category to them in terms of they've been very competitive. They've shown they're capable of winning games, 3 of them indeed, which is 3 times more than anybody below them. They've also scored way more goals than those teams below them. I suppose you could argue, if you're a very glass half full Leeds fan, that in terms of good defensive teams, it doesn't get much worse than Roy Hodgson, Brendan Rodgers and Nuno Espirito Santo. There won't be that many other teams that'll execute it as well. So if, and I use the word kryptonite, don't get upset by that, Leeds fans. If that strategy is kryptonite against Leeds, maybe they've played the 3 teams that are best at it already. I don't know. We'll find out. I wouldn't be too worried if I were a Leeds fan. I think the international break has come at a good time after 2 defeats, and Bielsa can get things together. We haven't even spoken about there's no Calvin Phillips. That's obviously a big factor. Rodrigo's not there. And maybe in a couple of weeks, Rafinha and Llorente might be a little bit more ready. So there are plenty of signs of things that you can add in, and plenty of narratives that you can perpetuate here to say, I won't worry too much if I were a Leeds fan. Look, lose the next 3 games, maybe you start worrying. But I think it's been a good opening. Maybe it's a nice reality check as well, isn't it? That they'd spent time up in the top 6 and had some really good, especially the Man City and the Villa performances, really good, weren't they? So they had those good performances. Sheffield United as well, I have to say. Maybe it's a good reality check to say, look, in this division, you might get punished a couple of games in a row, and look, maybe it is a mid-table season rather than anything higher, because there was an excitement level, wasn't there? So we'll see how it pans out. I would not necessarily be, readjusting lots of expectations, because the one thing we know about Bielsa is that guy is consistent. There's not going to be chaos. Stuff isn't going to change drastically. And the idea that this football team that has been really good for 2 years is not really good is false to me. So I think they'll go on and push on, and we'll look later in the international break on the start and on what's coming up, and we'll make a better judgment. But maybe let's park this and go to the international break, because it was Crystal Palace 4, Leeds 1. Get your thoughts in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button to see more videos from this channel. Hit the subscribe button, and to be notified every time we upload, ring the bell for those notifications to come through on your device. If you really want to support the channel and me as a content creator, I will be eternally grateful if you head over to the merch store and grab something, or support over on Patreon, patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. Thank you for your time. Go and watch another video.